Hello, and welcome to Just One More Thing, a podcast about knitting and crafting. I'm your host, Janessa. I have to apologize about last week's episode because you're thinking to yourself, wait, what? There was an episode last week? There was, and it is lost in the cloud. I don't know what to tell you. I had a episode last week. I spent all day editing the episode last week, and then my computer died. It didn't actually die. The power cord died, and without the power cord, the computer essentially is worthless. I could go on with a whole entire rant about faulty power cords and my aggravation with technology peripheral things, but I won't. I'll spare you that rant. I did get a new computer though. Yay. I finally upgraded to a Mac, which I've been thinking about doing for a long time, and I'm very happy that I did. So I have a lovely new computer, and hopefully editing today will not take nearly as long, because even though I've got 2 weeks worth of content, supposedly, it's really quite boring and not a whole lot to say. So it will be a short episode this week. I'm sorry for that too. It's a hectic week this week. I'll do kind of like what's going on in my life first, and then I'll get to the knitting. So you can like fast forward through this part if you want. I don't care. It's been a crazy hectic week because it is recital week. Here's a lovely picture of Brooklyn, all dressed up. We had pictures and practice on Tuesday. Yes, today's Thursday. So Tuesday was pictures and practice. Today is dress rehearsal. Tomorrow is the recital. And then we are done with dance for the summer. I don't know if she'll do it again next year. I kind of hope she does. She's done it for like 4 years now, so I'd like her to kind of stick with it. It's not something that's ever going to be like a profession for her, I don't think, but it's a nice hobby to have, and it's, it helps her meet friends outside of just like friends at school. She gets to meet people, like there's a lot of girls from around the area, so she gets to meet other people that she doesn't see on a daily basis, and I always think that's nice. But I don't know with her doing basketball next year if she's gonna have time to do both. And that's unfortunate that scheduling has to be such a hassle in this day and age. But again, another rant that I will spare you my thoughts on. So busy week, and a little tiny bit of knitting got done. But I'll show you that knitting, what little there is of it. So I'll start with this one because it's on top. Just some washcloths, nothing fancy. This is, maybe if I show you the right side, you can see it better. Oh, there it goes. This one's called the Tulip washcloth. It's a free one on Ravelry. It's just your basic like swatch, but it does have that little bit of lace in there, so it's like got some extra stretch to it. Nice and big, which is the kind of washcloths that we like to have around here. I usually just do like a really basic cast on 50 or so stitches and knit the garter edge, and then like all in stocking it and just knit until the ball of yarn is gone. But for this particular washcloth, I am frogging what I assume was the front of a sweater at our spinning little group that gets together once a month and spins and does fibery things with the fiber gals. Every once in a while people will bring stuff in like to trade. We have kind of a table where if you want to get rid of books or yarn or whatever, you can kind of set it on that table and you know, you set something down and you can pick something up. And I had taken quite a few books a while back and just hadn't really found anything that I wanted to take back with me. Um, until the other day, this gal came in and had like a whole grocery sack full of this half knitted sweater, I'm guessing. Um, and I was like, ooh, cotton yarn. Like, I could make some dishcloths. And she's like, oh, well, it's already partially knitted. I'm like, that's okay. I can frog while I knit. So I have been doing that. And I mean, dishcloths are not all that fanciful, right? Um, I'm kind of making this one on my needles up as I go along. So this one that I'm knitting, I'm doing it like the diagonal, but I'm doing instead of like the eyelets on the side, I'm just doing a I-cord edge. Like I did kind of an I-cord cast on there. And I started with like one stitch in the middle and then like the 3 stitches on each side for the cast on. And then basically I'm just like doing, when I get to this, after my 3 I-cord stitches, I'm doing a knit front and back on every row. So it increases on this side and then on this side and this side. And then so it goes back and forth, and I'll get it up to the point where it's a triangle of sufficient size, and then I'll start decreasing that first stitch every row as I come to it. So that's what I have so far for that dishcloth. Exciting stuff, right? So you'll probably see quite a few of those. Maybe I'll have a whole pile of them by next week. Who knows? Because Lord knows I'm not knitting on this project over here that I should be knitting on. My sweater mojo took a tragic dive somewhere along the way. I don't know. But here we go. This is the Bexley Popover that I'm working on. And the first time you saw it, I was probably about here. And then last week on the Lost episode, I was about here. And now I'm a good couple of inches into it. The lighting's better today, so you can kind of see the faint striping that's going on. I'm using 2 different types of yarn because I didn't have sufficient yarn in just one color, and I didn't want to order more because that would have been the sensible thing to do. So I'm using up stash. This is how I use up stash. I'm using Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in Bramble and Cobblestone Heather are the 2 colors that I'm using. They're pretty much both a gray. This one's more of like a brownish gray, and this one's more of a bluish gray. So it's a very subtle striping that's taking place. And like the further back you get, the more they just kind of like melt into each other and you don't notice them. But when you get really up close, you can see the stripes. So that is supposed to be what I'm knitting all the time on now, but I just kind of got in a funk of I didn't want to knit. I explained last week I'd had a really bad cold, like a really bad head cold. The barometer's been doing this between like one day it's snowing and then the next day it's like 60 degrees and then the next day it's snowing again. And my sinuses don't like that kind of weather. So that kind of put me in a knitting funk. I didn't really want to do anything at all. I pretty much just like colored in a coloring book. You know, like you do when you don't want to do anything else. Watched TV and yeah, did absolutely nothing at all. So that's kind of the only things that I've been knitting on is that popover, and you wouldn't even have had this to watch if I hadn't knit on it last night. I started doing that last night. That one washcloth and then the beginning of this other little one I did last night while I was watching TV. Because I was like, if I don't start knitting something, I'm not going to have anything to share at all. Anyway. So the tea today is a raspberry mojito, which is a fruit infusion. It's got some like lime and dried raspberries and dried apples, and some pineapple, I think, in there too. It's really, really good. I don't like it as a hot tea. I only like it as an iced tea. And today it's sufficiently warm out that I can drink iced tea. Yay. What am I wearing on today's episode? This is an oldie but a goodie. You've seen it before. It's my Free Your Fade. That was knit out of some hand spun that was the tidal wave bat from Textiles Amano out of Portland, Oregon. I knit this up pretty much like this time last year. So there you go. It's very, you can see how kind of like light and thin it is. I'll have to throw that up there. There we go. You can kind of see how teensy tiny the yarn is, but it makes for just a really nice, light, kind of keep your neck warm, but not like sweating scarf. Since I've talked about my spinning, but since this was a hand spun scarf, we might as well talk about spinning while we're at it, right? So this is, when I bought this Textiles Amano bats, I also bought this. It's called Coffee Bean, and it is an 80% merino, 20% bamboo silk, which it's not straight bamboo fiber, but it's like the processed bamboo, kind of like a tencel or like a nylon almost, but not quite nylon. So here's the bat. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's so nice. I just want to squish it. So there it is in bat form. And if you've never spun before, I'll kind of tease this apart so we can see the inside. You can see all that shiny white. That's the bamboo, and then the browns are the merino. And I don't know if it's a natural merino color. I'm assuming it is. I don't think that it would have been dyed, but you never know. Because there's also some reds in there every once in a while, but you can kind of see there's some dark blacks and some kind of reddish tones and lots of browns. So there it is, all kind of fanned out. And here it is on the bobbin. I'll kind of unwind a little bit of it so you can see how thick it is. We'll put it over there on the wall. So, not my thinnest spinning ever. This is kind of on the thicker side for me, but it's going to be a 4-ply. I'm working towards like something that's a little heavier, almost maybe like worsted weight. I don't think I'll be able to get up to a bulky, but it will be a 4-ply yarn because there was 4 single little batlings in there, and I'm just putting one on each bobbin, and then I will 4-ply them together. That is the plan for that. So I managed to get all the way up to like 16 minutes, and there's probably good 2 or 3 minutes that I'm gonna have to edit out. So again, super short podcast. Sorry about that, but next week will be better, I promise. So I hope you guys have had a fabulous couple of weeks, and we will see you again